British OnlyFans creator detained in Bali over alleged pornography production. British adult content creator Bonnie Blue, legally known as Tia Billinger, has become the subject of an ongoing legal case in Indonesia after authorities in Bali detained her for allegedly producing pornographic material in violation of the country's strict morality laws. The 26-year-old former OnlyFans performer, who has built a substantial online following through explicit content and controversial group sex challenges, now faces the possibility of criminal charges that carry a maximum penalty of 15 years in prison and fines approaching £270,000. The investigation, led jointly by the Bali police and Indonesian immigration authorities, began after a series of public complaints suggested that Bonnie Blue and a group of foreign men were traveling around Bali to produce sexually explicit videos. The case has drawn significant attention due to Bonnie's public profile, the number of participants involved, and Indonesia's firm stance on enforcing laws related to pornography, public decency, and misuse of tourist visas. According to Indonesian officials, Bonnie Blue arrived in Bali on a visa on arrival, a standard travel document issued to foreign nationals visiting for tourism purposes. Intelligence officers stated that this was her first trip to Indonesia. Prior to her arrival, she publicly announced her travel plans on social media, where she maintains a large and highly active audience. Her post, which later circulated widely among Indonesian online communities, read, "Hey boys, those that are going to Schoolies and those who are barely legal, cannot wait to meet you, and I'm in Bali, so you know exactly what that means." Indonesian authorities later confirmed that this post contributed to the initial scrutiny surrounding her travel. It coincided with Schoolies Week, an annual event in which thousands of recently graduated Australian students, many aged 17 to 19, travel to Bali for post-school celebrations. Although Indonesian police later clarified that no minors were involved in Bonnie Blue's activities, her messaging prompted immediate concern. Officials working in immigration enforcement explained that public references to barely legal individuals, particularly during Schoolies Week, raised red flags due to Indonesia's strict regulations regarding sexual content and extremely severe penalties for any cases involving minors. Even though Bonnie's group consisted solely of adults aged 19 to 40, the implications of her promotional message triggered closer monitoring. Complaints from local residents and hotel staff marked the beginning of the investigation. Several witnesses reported seeing a private bus transporting Bonnie Blue and a large group of young men to different areas around Bali. According to police reports, the group visited popular tourist zones such as Seminyak, Legian, and Canggu. Some residents claimed the men openly discussed participating in sexual filming, prompting bystanders to notify local authorities. Given Bali's frequent issues with foreign visitors filming inappropriate or illegal content, police responded by putting the group under temporary surveillance. CCTV recordings from several public areas showed the rented bus stopping at multiple locations over the course of the day, reinforcing concerns that Bonnie and her entourage were attempting to produce content across the island. Authorities also cross-checked records from villa rental companies and photography studios. One studio rental in Badung Regency matched the location where Bonnie's group was later detained. Police stated that the studio had been booked under a foreign name and was equipped with professional lighting and camera equipment before the raid took place. The police raid occurred on a Thursday afternoon after officers confirmed that Bonnie Blue and her group were gathered inside the rented studio. Law enforcement teams from the Badung Police Department and immigration authorities entered the studio and found 18 individuals, Bonnie herself and 17 male tourists between the ages of 19 and 40. The men were identified as a mix of British and Australian citizens, most of whom were in Bali on tourist visas. According to the official police report, officers discovered several items they classified as evidence of active pornography production, including cameras and lighting equipment, multiple condoms, lubricants, pink necklaces used as props, several flash drives, sheets of Viagra pills, costumes labeled as school Bonnie Blue outfits. Police Chief M. Arif Batubara, who oversaw the operation, stated during a press briefing, "It is suspected that the place was used by the alleged perpetrator to produce pornographic videos." The seized items indicate preparation for recording content containing pornographic or immoral elements. The raid was conducted without incident, and all individuals present were transported to a local police station for questioning. Initial detention and processing of the group. Upon arrival at the station, authorities separated the group for individual interviews. Police confirmed that Bonnie Blue identified herself and cooperated with questioning. Officers attempted to determine each individual's role, including whether any participants were acting in a professional capacity or had contributed to planning the video shoot. After reviewing statements and background checks, police released 14 Australian men without charges. Authorities explained that those individuals appeared to have minimal involvement in the planning or production of the content. They remained classified as witnesses only. 3 men, 1 Australian and 2 British nationals, were held for extended questioning. Their detention was based on indications that they may have helped coordinate filming, manage equipment, or otherwise contribute to the creation of explicit material. Bonnie Blue herself was not immediately charged but was transferred to immigration authorities after the initial round of questioning. At that time, officials confiscated her passport and placed her under a 48-hour administrative hold to prevent her from leaving the country while the investigation continued. Legal framework and possible charges. Indonesia operates under a strict legal system regarding pornography, defined broadly under Law No. 44/2008 on pornography, which prohibits producing, distributing, financing, or participating in pornographic content within Indonesian territory. Under this law, offenders can face up to 15 years in prison, fines up to 7.5 billion Indonesian rupiahs, approximately £270,000. Additionally, Indonesian Immigration Law No. 6/2011 prohibits foreign nationals from conducting work or commercial activities while on tourist visas. Producing monetized online content is included under activities considered unauthorized for people entering on visas intended solely for leisure. Authorities also referenced articles within the Indonesian Criminal Code dealing with public decency, which can apply if any filming occurred outside private premises. Police emphasized that there is no evidence suggesting minors were involved in any filming, but officials explained that the explicit content and group sex format still fall clearly within prohibited categories under Indonesian law. Transfer to immigration custody. Following initial interviews, Bonnie Blue was handed over to Bali's immigration office, where her passport was secured pending further investigation. Immigration authorities confirmed she was not formally arrested but was prohibited from traveling until the case was reviewed. Immigration Enforcement Chief Raja Ulil Azmi, in a statement to local media outlet Detik Bali, explained, "This is her first visit to Indonesia. She obtained a visa on arrival. Based on current findings, she is required to remain available while the Immigration Department and Bali Police determine how the case will proceed." He added that Bonnie, along with the 3 remaining male participants, would undergo further questioning within the week. Officials from both agencies would later collaborate to decide whether to pursue charges, proceed with deportation, or impose administrative penalties. Seized evidence and ongoing analysis. Authorities disclosed that all confiscated items, including digital storage devices, were submitted for forensic examination. Investigators are analyzing flash drives and cameras to determine whether explicit content was recorded in Indonesia, whether any filming occurred outdoors or in publicly accessible areas, whether footage was intended for sale or online distribution, whether any participants appear underage, none suspected so far, whether Bonnie or her group violated visa conditions. The outcome of the digital analysis will heavily influence whether Indonesian prosecutors elect to file formal charges. As of the latest available information, investigators have not publicly confirmed whether the devices contained completed footage filmed in Bali. Indonesia's broader context, pornography and tourism. Indonesia, the most populous Muslim-majority nation in the world, enforces conservative social and legal norms regarding sexual content. The country has consistently taken a strong stance against pornography production. This applies uniformly across all islands, including Bali, which, while Hindu-majority and globally known for tourism, remains under national jurisdiction. In recent years, Indonesia has increasingly confronted issues involving foreign tourists creating inappropriate or illegal content. Multiple foreign nationals have been deported for nude or semi-nude photo shoots near temples or sacred trees, filming sexually explicit content on beaches or in villas, violating cultural norms, misusing tourist visas for paid work. The Indonesian government has repeatedly emphasized that international visitors must respect local laws and that cultural or commercial permissiveness in their home countries does not apply within Indonesian borders. Bonnie Blue's case fits into this ongoing effort to maintain public order and reinforce the nation's legal boundaries around sexually explicit material. Involvement of the Australian and British embassies. Both the Australian and United Kingdom embassies were notified after their citizens were detained. Officials from each country acknowledged the inquiry but stated that they could not comment on ongoing legal matters involving their nationals. Standard protocol for these situations includes offering consular assistance, such as ensuring detainees have access to legal representation, monitoring the welfare of those held, communicating updates to families if requested, providing guidance on Indonesian legal procedures. There is no indication at this stage that either government has made formal diplomatic interventions. Bonnie Blue's status and possible outcomes. As of the most recent updates, Bonnie Blue remains in Indonesia under immigration supervision. Her passport remains in official custody, preventing her from leaving the country. Legal analysts familiar with Indonesian criminal procedure note several potential outcomes, depending on the findings of the investigation. 1. Deportation without charges. If forensic analysis reveals minimal content or insufficient evidence of active production, immigration authorities may deport Bonnie and issue a ban on returning to Indonesia. This is a common outcome for foreign nationals who violate visa terms without committing more serious offenses. 2. Administrative penalties and blacklisting. Bonnie could face administrative sanctions, such as fines or an entry ban, even if criminal charges are not filed. 3. Criminal prosecution. If police confirm that pornographic content was produced, she may be charged under Indonesia's pornography law. Sentences vary, but foreigners convicted of similar violations have received 6 months to 3 years imprisonment. Deportation following completion of the sentence. 4. Full prosecution under maximum penalties. Authorities have not suggested they intend to pursue maximum penalties, but the legal framework technically allows for sentences of up to 15 years and fines up to 7.5 billion rupiah. Officials have indicated that the final decision will depend heavily on the digital evidence retrieved from the scene. Public and media reaction. Coverage of the case has circulated widely in Indonesia, Australia, and the United Kingdom. Indonesian news outlets have focused primarily on enforcement of pornography laws, the presence of foreign visitors during Schoolies Week, government commitment to regulating tourist behavior. Australian media have emphasized the involvement of young male tourists and warnings issued to Schoolies participants about behavior abroad. In the United Kingdom, reports have focused more on Bonnie Blue's public profile, previous controversies, and her removal from OnlyFans earlier in the year after publicity surrounding her group sex challenges. Bonnie Blue herself has remained silent since her initial detention, and no statements have been issued on her social media accounts. Prior to her detention, Bonnie Blue was known for her provocative online persona and attention-grabbing sexual challenges. Her rise to fame included high-profile stunts involving large numbers of male participants, which she often documented or discussed on her content platforms. Her most widely publicized claim was an event in which she allegedly had sexual encounters with more than 1,000 men within a 12-hour period. This claim, widely circulated on adult industry forums and social media, generated significant debate and ultimately led to her account being banned from OnlyFans. That background, coupled with her public announcement about traveling to Bali for Schoolies Week, contributed to the authorities' rapid response once complaints surfaced. Cultural sensitivity and legal differences. Bonnie Blue's case underscores the substantial differences between Western permissiveness toward adult content and the Indonesian legal environment. What may be considered provocative but lawful behavior in the United Kingdom, Australia, or the United States can result in severe legal consequences in Indonesia. Authorities have reiterated that producing pornographic content in Indonesia is a criminal offense regardless of intent or privacy. Even content filmed in private accommodations can be prosecuted if discovered. Tourists are regularly reminded that Indonesian laws differ significantly from Western norms. Ignorance of local laws does not exempt foreign visitors from prosecution. Visa restrictions must be strictly followed. Public complaints frequently lead to police intervention. Bonnie Blue's case follows this established pattern. Current status and continuing investigation. As of the latest report, Bonnie Blue has not been formally charged. Investigators continue to analyze electronic evidence, and immigration officials have not indicated when they expect to conclude their review. Authorities confirmed that a further round of questioning was scheduled, during which Bonnie and the 3 remaining male detainees would supply additional information regarding the purpose of their travel, the nature of their filming plans, their individual roles in any recorded content, the identities and ages of all participants, whether they intended to distribute the material online. Once interviews and digital analyses are complete, officials from immigration and the Bali police will jointly determine whether criminal charges will be filed, whether deportation will occur, whether administrative penalties will be issued. The process may take several days to several weeks, depending on the volume of evidence and coordination between agencies. The investigation into British content creator Bonnie Blue highlights the ongoing challenges faced by foreign visitors who conduct activities that conflict with Indonesian law. Her case illustrates the consequences of combining explicit content creation with international travel, particularly in regions with strict cultural and legal norms. The outcome remains pending, and Bonnie Blue continues to be held under immigration monitoring in Bali. As authorities examine seized digital devices and conduct further questioning, they will decide whether to proceed with criminal charges, deport her, or impose alternative penalties. For now, the case remains open, and Bonnie Blue's future in Indonesia will be determined by the findings of the joint investigation.